Chris Brader, the Director of Journalism and Mass Communication, and also the Transitional Dean of the new College of Media, Communication, and Information. It's especially as the director of JMC that I speak today, because all of the students currently graduating are students of journalism and mass communication. We won't even begin to admit students to the new college until next fall, so it'll be a while before we're presenting them on a day like this. The commencement exercises are wonderful moments in the lives of those of us who work and teach at the university. It's a point where we remind ourselves of exactly what our role is and why we're here. And we're here precisely because your students are here. You're wonderful students, your children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, husbands, wives, lovers, whom you've entrusted to us over this past number of years as they prepare for the world that awaits them only in a few short moments. It reminds us of the role that universities and colleges play in the great cycle of humanity. Every year there is a new cohort of young women and men preparing to take up the responsibilities and the rights and privileges of adulthood. We are the gatekeepers in some sense, in that we are here to help them choose the road that they need to take, prepare for that road, develop their own personalities, their own minds, their own insights. And then, 4 years, 5 years, sometimes 6 or 7 years later, let them go. And in that way, we are, as the Latin phrase has it, in loco parentis. We are in the parents' place. Though we cannot replace their parents, nevertheless, we play a very similar role. So as deeply moving as this day is for your parents, it's also a deeply moving day for us. And not least because it has been such a pleasure and such a privilege to know you, to get to know you, and to work with you over the past years. Before we proceed to the main event, the time has come to say some thanks, to give thanks. And in the first instance, of course, I want to give thanks to the parents of the students who are commencing today, both for all that they have done to make this possible for their sons and daughters, but also for what they've done in entrusting their sons and daughters to us. So applause for the parents, please. But it's also a time to give thanks to all of those other important people in the lives of our graduates. Their friends, their brothers and sisters, their cousins, their grandparents. They too have been very much on their minds and so part of the peculiar mix of thoughts and feelings that make up college life. So thanks to them as well. We also owe a debt of thanks to my colleagues on the faculty, all sitting up here alongside me. As usual, it is striking how many of them turn up for commencement exercises. You know, you would have thought that this would be the day when vacation would start for the faculty, but here they are, because, you know, it's important for them too. So could the faculty please rise so we can thank them? And then, down in the corner over here, we have the staff. And you may not know it, but there's Amy Ballou, if you could stand up for a second, who is my assistant, and who has the thankless task of sort of trying to signal to me that I'm supposed to do something now and go to the right place. So, Amy, thank you. And I'd also like to thank Jeannie Meyer Brown, who is one of our advisors, someone your sons and daughters have got to know really well. And I'd also like to thank Martha, who's the graduate advisor, Martha LaForge. And then Christine Mahoney, who is our internships director. and Marilyn, who works in the office handling fiscal matters. Gil Asakawa, who is the director of the CU Independent, the student newspaper. And then the light of all of our postmodern lives, Amanda McManus, who oversees all of our web functions. So, enough of the preliminaries, on to the main event. And to begin with, we would like to introduce this winter's outstanding graduate, Leah Winkler, who will be presented by my colleague, Paul Vokes. Come on up.
Good afternoon. Our outstanding graduate, Leah Winkler, is the recipient of the William W. White Award. Mr. White was an alumnus of the School of Journalism, back when it was a School of Journalism. He was a graduate of the class of 1933. And he was first a sports reporter at the Denver Post, and later a regional correspondent for the Associated Press. And he reported from England during World War II and subsequently served on the staff of the New York Herald Tribune and Time magazine before returning to Denver to establish a public relations agency. The William W. White Award was established by Mr. White and his wife Connie in 1994. Now, Mrs. White, who had her own storied journalism career, including a stint alongside her husband as a foreign correspondent, generously sustained this award for many years. She passed away a few years ago. We are grateful to the White Family Foundation of Denver for continuing this award, and this outstanding graduate is being given an award of $2,000. So this is Leah. She's receiving actually 2 bachelor's degrees this week in JMC/advertising and in theater. And in fact, she had to run over here from the theater ceremony that just ended in order to be our flag bearer in the procession. Leah's been a constant presence on the dean's list or director's list ever since she arrived at CU. Her grade point average in journalism and mass communication is 3.974, which means she made 1 A- in 4 years. That A- was in Journalism 1001 in her first semester here. And I am so glad she got the wake-up call and decided to straighten up and fly right. And I was very pleased myself to contribute one of those straight A's to the transcript, as Leah was outstanding in my media law class. Leah's really taken advantage of some great opportunities here at CU. She studied British theater in London for a semester, which produced one of the great CU Around the World stories. She was standing in line for hours and hours at the London premiere of the musical The Book of Mormon, which was written by 2 former CU students, Matt Stone and Trey Parker, also the creators of the comedy series South Park. So who should walk by Leah in the queue but Trey Parker? And Leah piped up that she was from Conifer, Colorado, and so was he, which led to a chat that revealed that our outstanding graduate and Trey Parker went to the same middle school in Conifer, as well as the same world-class university in Boulder. Leah is an advertising major who has hit the jackpot in terms of parlaying an internship into that first full-time position after graduation. Last summer, she interned with Scrib, the co-working space in downtown Boulder, and there she started helping out with the Boomtown Accelerator, the Boulder group founded by Alex Boguski of Crispin Porter Boguski advertising fame. Boomtown provides funding and free workspace for innovative startups. Leah so impressed the Boomtown folks that they hired her part-time at the end of the summer, and now she's been offered a full-time position as assistant program manager at Boomtown Accelerator as soon as she graduates. I get the feeling that we'll be proud for years to come to say that this young woman is an alum of our ad program. Congratulations to our outstanding graduate, Leah Winkler. Look. It's not money, but... Okay, and now...
Thank you. Jill Painter Lopez graduated from the School of Journalism and Mass Communication in 1994 when it was housed right here in Mackey Hall. Formerly a columnist at Los Angeles Daily News, she is now a sports columnist for the Fox Sports West in Los Angeles. Jill's focus is not only on sports, but on the many human interest stories she finds in the sports world. She is also one of the few people around who still remembers what it was like when CU had an actual football team. Please join me in welcoming our commencement speaker, Jill Painter Lopez. She's so good, she stole one of my lines. Thank you, Leah, and thank you everyone for having me here today. And thank you to, I believe it was Dave, who when I came in out front, he said, "Oh, wait a minute, excuse me, you haven't checked in." He thought I was graduating. Thank you, Dave. Excuse me, I just got an iPad, so I'm still a little new at this. So there I was 2 years ago, back here in Boulder, Colorado, to cover the UCLA football game against Colorado. And I was here to do a story on Ralphie. There I was in front of this 1,400-pound buffalo. I was up in her grill taking video and photos. You know, it's great online to go with the written word now. When I was here, we do so much more video for online and pictures, and all of a sudden one of the student handlers said, "Oh, wait a minute, can you step back, ma'am? Ralphie's getting a little uncomfortable." She was rustling around in her trailer, so I was protected. I felt safe next to her. But when he said it, that I had made her uncomfortable, I thought, but I'm a Colorado alum. It's not like I'm a Ram. So I was a little distraught that Ralphie couldn't sense my Colorado connection. But in soon learning about Ralphie, from the student handlers I was interviewing to do the story, it takes Ralphie 6 months to get to know a student handler so well that she trusts them. Probably could be some good dating advice for all of us as well, right? But anyway, so I knew I was a new person, so I really got most of my story from the student handlers, but it was great to see Ralphie up close and personal. I'd gone to so many football games and watched her run around the field, and as I've been in Los Angeles and covered so many college football games in different places, I really think it's one of the best pregame rituals in college sports. But anyway, so I did that story, and then I thought, you know what, this is another one of those situations where I'm constantly learning about being prepared, knowing your subject good enough before you get there, knowing the animal or the people that you're going to talk to. Now, I know so many of you today are in advertising and PR, and a few of you in broadcast and news media as well. But I'm really here to talk to you today about people, because whatever industry you go into, you're going to have to know people, you're going to have to like them, you're going to have to deal with them. And so if you remember that it's all about people, no matter what industry you're in, I think you'll go far. The first time I met Kobe Bryant, that I introduced myself to him, I was working in Bakersfield, California, and he was not playing, but he was there for an exhibition game. And this was very early in his career, and he had a fractured right hand. And now, I don't know about all of you, but when you meet somebody, I'm very focused on that handshake and the eye contact, so much so that I usually forget somebody's name because I'm so focused on making a good impression. So with Kobe, I was so focused on the handshake that I forgot for a second that his right wrist was in a cast. So I went in to do the handshake, and it was like, and provided for a very awkward moment. But again, it just was another lesson in know people, know your subjects. One of my favorite stories, or some of my favorite stories, and the ones that I'm most proud of, are not the ones about the X's and O's, but rather the people who played the games. I've covered sports my whole life, so I've had the opportunity to cover the World Series, Stanley Cup, Super Bowl, the Masters, the US Open, NBA Finals, high school football championships. I've been so lucky to call all of that work. But I'm most proud of the human interest stories. And to do those, you have to ask questions. You have to ask good questions. You have to talk to anyone and everyone about the subject, even those who you think may not be able to help you. Be enthusiastic. My late mom was very enthusiastic, especially when she greeted people. Many of the things that I've learned and used today in my life, I learned from her. So when I was a student here, when she would come up to visit, I grew up in Fort Collins and got away from Colorado State and here as fast as I could. We used to walk along the Boulder Creek path over this way. And Bill McCartney, who was the guy who, the coach, who led CU to its national championship in 1990, before you guys were a glimmer in your parents' eyes, probably. He was walking along the path, and I knew how much my mom loved meeting and talking to people. It was a wonderful attribute, but I thought, you know what, I'm gonna wait till he walks by a little bit. So after he'd gone by several feet, I said to my mom, hey, that was Bill McCartney. And even though we lived in Colorado, she grew up in the East Coast, and she kept that East Coast accent. And she turned around and said, McCartney! And he turned back and smiled and waved, and I thought that was probably the most exciting greeting he'd had all week, maybe all month. So remember to be enthusiastic. Kill people with kindness. Again, in dealing with people, sometimes that's hard. You're gonna have critics who email you or difficult coworkers. We all have them. You maybe had difficult classmates and situations you've had to navigate. But one time I got an email from a reader, and he emailed me about a mistake I had made in an article, or what he thought was a mistake. And at the end of it, he called me a douchebag. You'll get a lot of emails like this probably. And I thought, well, you know what's funny? I have made many mistakes, and you try to always correct them. We're human. But that wasn't a mistake. So I emailed him back and said, Dear sir, thank you for your feedback. Here's what I wrote about. Here's why this is actually correct. All the best. And then I had a reply in my inbox. And I read it. I thought, oh, no, here we go. And I opened it, and he said, you know what? You're right. I guess I'm the douchebag. That's not always going to happen, but that is one of my most favorite emails. Get a lot of mentors. Listen to your mentors. Take advice that you like, and leave the rest. Don't listen to some people, though. People will tell you no. They'll tell you you're too young. They'll tell you you're too old. They'll tell you you're too inexperienced. They'll tell you you're too experienced. They'll tell you there aren't any jobs out there. You tell them, bye, Felicia. Keep knocking on doors. I still do it too. I'm still learning, always. Be persistent and assertive, although not aggressive. The other day, one of the Clippers players told me after a charity event, there was a lot of entertainment videographers and camera people, and basically when they're there, it becomes quite a scene, and you really have to duck under people and around. And he told me, wow, you were really aggressive. And I thought, uh-oh. My husband said, that's not good when an NBA player tells you you're aggressive. The path that I took started me in a little town in Hobbs, New Mexico, working at the Hobbs News-Sun. It wasn't the path that I thought I would take, but I eventually got to LA, which, like Denver, is a fabulous sports city. The lessons I learned covering sports in small towns were so invaluable and prepared me for when I got to Los Angeles. 3 of the 5 jobs that I have had have started with a connection. That's 60%. So if you're listening, make friends, not enemies. When I was working in Bakersfield, I had a job offer at the Los Angeles Daily News, and I was thrilled. But my boss in Bakersfield told me, think hard about this, because they might put you in a corner in such a big newsroom. And I thought, no one puts baby in a corner. Oh, you all are too young for that. My most fascinating interviews were with John Wooden. He won 10 national championships at UCLA, the storied basketball coach, if some of you don't know who he is. But I never knew him as a basketball coach. He retired in 1975. I knew him as an author, motivational speaker, brilliant storyteller, and wonderful man. He told the same stories of the first thing that he would do with incoming freshmen, that he would teach them how to put their socks and shoes on so they wouldn't get blisters. This magnificent coach, and it was a simple thing that he first taught people. And everyone loved to hear that story. So he told that story thousands of times. And every time he made the person listening to it feel like they were listening to that story for the first time. And now, as you can see, we have athletes who conduct press conferences, 29 questions, 55 words. So they don't make them like John Wooden anymore, but we can be people persons. He did that. I once sat in the back of Poly Pavilion while annually he talked to the incoming student athletes. He was in his 90s. They were 7 decades younger than he was. And I was always amazed, sitting in the back, about how he kept their attention. No one was texting, no one was talking, no one was sleeping. And I thought it was stunning. But he knew his audience. I had a 2-hour interview with him once in Encino at his home. He would give me, you, or any stranger 2 hours. He used to say that his knees hurt, but he loved being around people because then he wasn't thinking about that. He ate at the same cafe in Tarzana, California, nearly every day for the last 12 years of his life. I took my family and friends there. I went there a lot. People went to get autographs, or pictures, and I never saw him once turn anybody down. It's pretty impressive. When he passed away at age 99 on a Friday night, I knew exactly what I was doing the next morning. I was getting up early and I was going to that cafe because I knew that was where the most heartfelt story would come from. And I felt comfortable enough, having done my homework and been around him and his family. I tried to attend every John Wooden thing I could go to because it wasn't work. It was impressive. I had done my homework and I knew where to be. Showing up is half the battle. Knowing how to deal with people is the other half. And so it was a pleasure to write about the way that cafe and the people there honored John Wooden with a table reserved for him with the breakfast that he ordered every time he was there on the table. There were tears in the wait staff's eyes and in the people who went there to honor him. It was one of the most special pieces that I've written, and it was my pleasure to paint that picture. You can find stories and sources anywhere. I once got a good story from a bus driver. He kept attending USC football practice. And one time I went up to him and said, why do you like to come here? And he said, well, Kerry Colbert is my favorite player. He was a star receiver at the time. And I said, oh, really? Why is that? And he said, well, I've gotten to know him. He rides my bus every day, and he sits up in the front seat and talks to me, and we've become friends. And I thought, how cool is that A, an athlete would ride the bus around campus, and B, that he would talk to the bus driver so much that they developed such a friendship and saw each other every day. And it's not barn-burning stuff, but it's human interest stories, and those are the kind that I like. Cody Kessler, the USC quarterback, he threw 7 touchdown passes against Colorado this year, but I digress. I'm just saying that because that's how you guys might know him. But 2 years ago, he was a third-string quarterback for the Trojans, and he tweeted something, this is the power of social media, about a little boy from his hometown in Bakersfield who was doing a toy drive. The boy had cancer, and he wanted to help other people. And I thought, I got to find out about this. So I talked to Kessler, and after that, there was just this moving story and friendship that developed between these two. And again, for somebody else just looking on it, thinking a third-string quarterback, but you don't have to be a superstar to have a super story. He became friends with that boy. The first time he met him was on Thanksgiving, taking time out of his day with his family to go meet this boy. They developed quite a friendship. They told each other they loved each other. And the little boy did pass away, but Cody obviously made such an impact on his life. And the story had such an impact that one of my friends said, you have to talk about that today. So I did. Be good to people. Be kind. Don't be so focused on your career that you forget to do things that make you a better person, whatever that may be. Smile at someone, talking to someone who might be down on their luck, paying a compliment. For me, it's raising money through walks for cancer research and awareness. I like to write about stories about athletes who do similar things. Their platforms are so powerful. I do it because I lost my mom to cancer, and it's a way to honor her. You can find something that you like to do too. It makes you a better person. Look around you. Keep these classmates as your friends. 3 of my best friends are CU graduates that are here today. My husband, friends from California, friend from DC, and so you just really have to hold on to your support system. They'll be with you there always. I just wanted to say how humbled and happy and honored I am to be here with you today on your special day. because today is not about me, it's about you. And I wanted to give a shout out to my friends in California, my family in Rhode Island who's watching. We're so proud of you. You're going to go out and do amazing things. And as my mom would say, go kick some asphalt.
So it's now my pleasure to introduce Steve Jones, the Associate Dean for Undergraduate Studies and Curriculum.
It appears that I'm going to have back-to-back-to-back, so I'm going to stay over here this time. I have the privilege of introducing to you the students who are going to be graduating with some form of honors. The first is distinction, and with distinction, it requires that the student maintain a 3.75 overall grade point average. Our graduate with distinction is Leah Winkler. Leah, would you rise? Thank you. The second category is graduation with honors. In graduation with honors, the student has to maintain a 3.5 overall grade point average, a 3.5 GPA in all journalism courses, and then do a research project with a faculty member. We have two students today who are going to be graduating with honors. The first is Miles Allen Wallingford. Miles, will you stand? And the second, and you'll think this is her show, is Leah Winkler. Congratulations to you both. Now comes the time to recognize our undergrads who are here today. You're going to be coming up, and I'll be reading your name, and you'll be walking across the stage and receiving your diploma covers. There's no diploma in it yet. Jeannie's going to help me get you to the stage, and I want to dispel any rumors that she's already done the certification for graduation, because she hasn't. So she's not going to be saying, "not so fast," or "you better stay in your seat." We're going to have all of you come up. Amy Lopez. Henry Jennings Moffley. Andrew Borhan. Bryce Jordan Badwin. William Jordan Wilstead. Emily Hopt. Dalton Grudel. Kristen Bailey. Jared Stormer. Melanie Koseski. Miles Wallingford. Kim Clary. Madison Nicole Cribbs. Chloe Chase. Megan Moraine. Jade Scales. Nadia Alexandra Mishkin. Davis Rendell. Peter Soares. Colin Rush. Joseph Richard Crawford. Gavin B. Griffin. And Leah Winkler.
I hope you appreciated what a wonderful impersonation Leah was doing of Despero, the Musketeer Mouse. In any case, we're nearly done now. There only remains the last bit of truly medieval verbal magic that has to be performed. And to that end, graduates, will you please stand? Will you please confirm that your tassel is currently on the right side of your head? Now move it, yeah, all on the right side? You know, sandwich hand? Now please move the tassel to the left side. I welcome you to the world of educated men and women. So we will now regress from the hall. If you could wait until the people on the stage have got down and out of your way, and then away we go. Thank you all for coming, and congratulations to one and all.